Disney Pixar's Luca is a literal fish-out-of-water tale set on the Italian Riviera, with some inspirations that just might surprise you. It also serves up a heaping plate full of hidden secrets and Easter eggs. Scaviamo! Jacob Tremblay voices the title role of Luca Paguro, a young sea monster who becomes curious about the world above after finding fantastical items from land dwellers on the ocean floor. A fishy youth finds treasures from the surface and wants to be a part of that world? I've heard that one before. Luca has The Little Mermaid in its storytelling DNA. Both movies even have scenes where the proper use of forks are lost on the main characters. It just so happens The Little Mermaid is finding new life in the release of a live-action remake slated for 2023. Well, mostly live-action anyway. It appears that some of the fishier characters will still be computer animation. One such character is the lovable teal-striped yellowfish Flounder. Take a look at the IMDb entry and you'll see that Flounder is voiced by none other than Luca himself, Jacob Tremblay. Of course, just like Ariel, Luca has to contend with an overprotective parent, Daniela Paguro, voiced by the hilarious Maya Rudolph. It's a wonder Luca turned out to be so earnest, as his family seems to be chock full of comedy genius. His dad Lorenzo is played by comedian Jim Gaffigan. According to Jim, having a part in a Disney Pixar movie was the status boost he needed, where a very exclusive audience was concerned: his 5 kids. Thanks to Luca, they finally think he's cool. For now, Jim. Sandy Martin plays Luca's grandma. Though her career spans decades and over 100 film and television credits, you probably know Sandy best for her darkly comedic turn as Mac's mom in the FX series It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Finally, Uncle Ugo is voiced by none other than character extraordinaire Sacha Baron Cohen. He doesn't have much screen time, but according to the editor Catherine Apple, the Borat star would improvise various different bits of dialogue to see what would fit in the scene. In the end, the scene had to grow to fit him. Another larger-than-life personality comes into Luca's life: Alberto Scorfano, played by Jack Dylan Grazer. Jack has some big titles on his resume, including the remake of Stephen King's It and Shazam. But did you know that Jack comes from a movie-making family? His father, Gavin, is a writer and actor, and his uncle is none other than producer Brian Grazer, known for his work with acclaimed director Ron Howard. The two collaborated on such classic films as Apollo 13, A Beautiful Mind, and Cinderella Man. Not to mention another fish-out-of-water tale starring Tom Hanks and Daryl Hannah, the 1983 rom-com Splash. Like Jack, Jacob is no stranger to the mainstream, with movies like Wonder, Good Boys, and Room under his belt. Luca marks his first animated feature. Director Enrico Casarosa said, "Working with Jacob was such a pleasure. I love how earnest and innocent he is naturally. And he's playful and he's not afraid to try stuff, so it was so much fun to improvise with him." Jacob has some extra fun displaying a personal talent while in the voice booth. Check Luca out after he finishes the pasta eating contest. He lets out a rip roar and belch, which is a special skill. Apparently Jacob can do it on command. Burps lead to Pixar money. Who knew? Working with Tremblay in person was a luxury, as it turns out. He was one of the few actors Casarosa got to work with just before the COVID pandemic hit. The outbreak changed the way everyone operated in the workforce, and Pixar was no exception. Unlike Jacob, Jack Dylan Grazer had to record his parts at home, and the best spot for it acoustically turned out to be his mom's closet. The rest of the Pixar team had to operate from home as well. In honor of their newfound work situation, the filmmakers celebrated the accomplishment of completing a full-length animated feature remotely in the ending credits. If you watch through to the end, you'll see credits roll that say, "Produced in our slippers around the Bay Area." Anyway, back to Luca and Alberto. Luca meets Alberto when he comes to gather the human treasures which Alberto took from fishermen aboard a boat at the beginning of the movie. Terrified by the mysterious creature they see, one of the fishermen throws a harpoon in what seems like an act of desperation. But take a look at Alberto's left arm and you'll see he has a mark along his bicep. I guess the harpoon wasn't too far off the mark after all. When introducing themselves to each other, Alberto says, "Piacere, Girolamo Trombetta." It's a saying that follows the duo through the film and never gets answered. Well, want to know what it means? Basically, "Pleased to meet you, I'm Girolamo Small Trombone." Confused? It's more of an Italian kid's joke than an actual introduction. While saying the words, you give the other person a handshake and move it forward and backward like the hand slide of a trombone. What makes it extra funny? Trombetta also means in Italian. Kids. There's something else worth mentioning about Alberto. Sure, the story of Luca takes place on the Italian Riviera, but did you know there are Far East influences injected into the movie as well? That's because director Enrico Casarosa is a fan of Studio Ghibli, and especially revered animator Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki's work is fittingly inspirational to Casarosa, as his work regularly tells fantastical tales about children on wondrous adventures. For proof of Miyazaki's influence, look no further than Alberto's clothes. They're fashioned after Conan, from Miyazaki's series Future Boy Conan, about a superhuman boy who protects his friends and civilization after World War III. Alberto's not the only character whose wardrobe is inspired by Miyazaki. Meet Giulia Marcovaldo, voiced by Emma Berman. Giulia is an enthusiastic young girl who befriends Luca and Alberto in their human form when they arrive in Portorosso. Calling themselves the underdogs, the three team up to compete in the Portorosso Cup. Giulia's a bit of a tomboy, which makes it that much more fitting that she's wearing a striped top and rolled jeans just like the character Tombo in Miyazaki's 1989 animated feature Kiki's Delivery Service. If that weren't enough, did you know the town of Portorosso is inspired by Cinque Terre, where Casarosa spent the summers of his youth? Its name, however, is also a Miyazaki tribute in honor of Porco Rosso, a 1992 Studio Ghibli animated film. The movie follows an Italian World War I pilot who cursed himself to look like a pig, giving new meaning to the old saying, "When pigs fly." From when pigs fly to when Alberto snores. Watch the end credits for another funky little detail inspired by Japanese media. On the title page, with sound designer and post-production producer credits, you'll see both Alberto and Luca asleep on either side of the screen. Luca is drooling out of his mouth, but Alberto seems to have a snot bubble coming out of his nose. Turns out that this detail is a trope in Japanese animation. The snot bubble, though, is used mostly with comedic characters or characters sleeping at inconvenient moments. It's the equivalent of Z's for Western audiences. Hey, you might think it's funny, but it's not. Let's stick with our slippery and slimy theme for a super hard Easter egg. Up for the challenge? Meet Ercole Visconti, voiced by another comedian hailing from Italy, Saverio Raimondo. Ercole is a spoiled bully who leads with fear and bends every rule he can to win every reward and contest around. It's believed that he even lies about his age in order to compete in the Portorosso Cup. He rides around town on a cherry red Vespa and makes a scene wherever he goes. Sure, he's slimy all right, but the Easter egg we're looking for is slimier. Keep your finger on the pause button. After the townspeople complain about Ercole's revving and overall obnoxiousness, watch Ercole lean back with only one hand on his handlebar. Pause! There's a little boy standing in front of a brown door. Up and to the right of the brown door is a square stone with a sea creature carved into it. But that's not just any sea creature, that's Hank, the septopus from Finding Dory. Want some more Pixar treasures? Okay, let's head to the competition. The Portorosso Cup is made up of 3 events, a swimming event, an eating contest, and a bicycle race. Since Alberto and Luca had a falling out, the team of underdogs is down to 2, and for some reason Luca decides he and Giulia should split their team up and each do all 3 events, something Giulia has done before, and the reason for her nickname Spulia. Anyway, when Luca starts the bike leg of the contest, he rides past his parents. Be on the lookout in the next overhead shot. As Luca rides up the path, we get a view of some roofs and outdoor decks of the buildings lining the street. Keep your eyes to the right, and you'll be rewarded with a glimpse of the Luxo Ball. If Luca wins the race, the prize money will afford Alberto and him a Vespa of their own, which they plan to ride all over the world. This prize money is sought after by Ercole as well, but Ercole is also interested in reward money for something else, killing a sea monster. As luck or curse would have it, the skies turn cloudy and it begins to rain during the bicycle event of the competition. It's Alberto to the rescue with a blue umbrella. Why a blue umbrella, you might ask? Maybe as a little wink to the 2013 Pixar short, The Blue Umbrella, about 2 strangers who find love on a rainy day. Regardless of Alberto's best efforts, the rainwaters reveal his and Luca's true selves, and a race for winnings becomes a race for their lives. As Ercole hunts the sea monsters down, look in the background when he rounds the corner and you'll catch yet another Pixar Easter egg. It's a covered yellow Vespa with a white rocket ship on its roof. That's right, it's another rendition of the Pizza Planet delivery truck from Toy Story. This next one is a plug Easter egg as it references a movie that came out 5 months after Luca. It's an interesting one because it's not something you see, it's something you hear. When Alberto and Luca are about to take their makeshift Vespa down the hill together, Luca chickens out. Alberto tells him, "You got a Bruno in your head," and explains that it's that little voice in his head that tells him he can't or shouldn't do something. Alberto's advice? He tells Luca to "Silenzio Bruno," and we know why that is, don't we? Because, as Peppa and Felix Madrigal sing in Encanto, we don't talk about Bruno, no, sorry. Man, that song's catchy. Of all the Pixar Easter eggs hiding throughout this movie, this next one is super difficult to find and may not take just a keen eye, but a die-hard fanaticism for Luca and Pixar as a whole. Think you got this one? It's a deep cut. Portorosso has its fair share of posters and advertisements on the walls of the town. There's a side street off the main square that's only partly visible ever so briefly during the scene when our characters sign up for the Portorosso Cup. Look very closely behind Signora Marsigliese as she argues with Ercole about his age, and you'll see two posters on a wall next to the lamppost. The green poster on the right says gustosa, which is Italian for tasty. After Signora says, "You said that last year," pause when she leans back and you'll see something on that poster round with jagged edges. According to the companion book Art of Luca, this poster is an ad for Italian-flavored sodas. The one with the purple band is labeled uva, which means grape in Italian. See where we're going with this one? Where else in the Pixar universe does a grape bottle cap have significance? That's right, the 2009 tearjerker Up. Young Ellie gives Carl, her future husband, a makeshift pin made from a grape soda bottle cap, which he in turn gives Russell after their incredible house-soaring adventure. As interesting as that Easter egg was to find, maybe what's more interesting is what can't be found in the movie. Luca marks the first release from Pixar that doesn't feature a much-loved and recognizable voice. Say it ain't so! John Ratzenberger is nowhere to be found! What happened? Is he alright? Did he and Pixar have a falling out? Did his luck finally run out? Well, whatever the reason, we miss you, John, and sure hope to hear your voice or see your likeness in the future, Pixar or not. Hungry for a second helping of Luca's secrets and Easter eggs? We got 'em! Go watch Did You Catch These 42 Luca Facts right now! I hope you liked this video and found some cool new details you hadn't seen before in Disney Pixar's Luca. Make sure you subscribe to Movie Logic for more daily movie facts, trivia, and Easter eggs.